The monster, as an inhabitant of the margin, is a token of that which does not fit within what we know.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the what was it? Beholder, Death by Recursion. Oh, I forgot to bring that clip up.
Participating in tonight's discussion are 4 students from 4 different countries, all of whom have very strong ideas on this subject of whether or not American children have too much freedom. Let me introduce them to you now. First, here is
Grim Grizz. This guy talks about him.
Grim Grizz has been doing some commentary on my commentary, which has been fun. And the dark reflection of ourselves that we can't recognize because the water at the bottom of the well is at such a distance. And so I see someone down there looking up at me. Yeah, it's your reflection. But the sides of the well are filled with billboards from the most powerful influence machine humanity has ever created. Don't imagine your secret, sacred self is somehow free from the sirens of consumerism.
I have seen so much, and I have this rare bump of attention because Vanderklay's been talking about me to service the gift of that attention with like the most important and or controversial stuff.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
I'm leaning heavily on like we're having the emergence of the metacognition, and I know my last video was titled that, and it was kind of weak, so we'll make up for it over the week. Stay tuned.
Experimental rats quickly succumb to
those guys followed me on Twitter yesterday.
thousands
I'm
of
very
times,
excited.
foregoing their own natural drives for hunger.
There are 2 things that I can't get away from. One of which is death by immortality, and the other one is death by recursion limit. Mm-hmm.
I'd kind of love to see Grim do a response video to this where we would all move 1 frame up and Bernays would be tiny and then a little bigger Grim.
You know, I got to do that shout out there.
Also completely fractal. So the process of the brain is also completely fractal. I'll tell you why. Neurotransmitters compete to bind onto receptors, and synapses compete on a stretch of dendrite to make links with a neuron. Neurons compete with one another for nerve growth factor. Ones that win the competition survive, and the ones that lose this competition, they die. As we saw earlier, cortical columns compete against one another to represent bars of light, different orientations. And then you know that your perceptions compete for interpretation. Is that a kind of cloud, or is it a kind of Jesus in the sky? And you know that things compete for your attention. And you know that when you make a decision, that's like a competition, isn't it? But surely that's completely fractal. And then neurons link up through synapses, and then columns link up, and then patches of cortex link up in a hierarchy. But then you chain your thoughts together into succession of thoughts and stuff, and thoughts link up.
There's this bit he goes into that's like specifically about the eye, and the way that all the neurons in the column are competing. For like, hey, I saw this. No, I saw that. And then whatever wins the competition goes up the stack. And that's sort of the crux of the whole beholder emerging metaconsciousness thing angle I'm going with. And that loops back into his whatever, but there's already so much of him in this. I would need to... Together we're coming as... the VNA is a virtually not alone network LARP that I was working on the Lemon Land, and this was a audience submission because like the recognition that goes down fuels back up, like the way that Paul talking to me fueled all this work back up.
And people need so little encouragement. It's just unbelievable.
And also because each of these motion centers also have...
Look at that, I was still muted. Okay, so like my eyeball, my neuronal stack watched that whole Vanderklay thing, and I'm like, all right, this is what we're sending up the pipe, and I do that clip to your neuronal stack, and in this way we process and sense mix together, like here.
It makes perfect sense to fit it all into one hierarchy. And we saw those pyramidal neurons earlier on in a cortical column, and there's about 800 of those in a single column. Now, there's a stereotypical sequence, which I'm going to show you, which is completely fractal. Now, if you take a cortical column, different columns will project into that cortical column, and then the cortical column, entire collection of neurons, will project out to other cortical columns, and then the entire cortical column will loop back into itself. If we take a macro column, a hypercolumn, and then again, same pattern of projecting out to neighboring hypercolumns, feeding in from neighboring hypercolumns, but also this kind of looping back. Now we take entire sheet
That's
of
it there.
cortex.
That's it. You guys are my neighboring hypercolumns. And together we're forming a giant eyeball inside this panopticon of constant surveillance. And this one thing I saw that I haven't been able to retrieve is Panopticon explained in GIF form. It's got like all these dots, and then it shows what the focused attention does and how people behave in the Panopticon. It was like an amazing little animation. But the point is, the best we can do in this situation of constant surveillance is grab hold of the Overton window and swing it. And the way we do that is by coming together with our cognitive whatevers, eliminating what's worth not sending up the chain, and sending what is super important up the chain to the point that that's all the people from the above are seeing, and then it spreads out and recurs, and then behold, metacognition, death by recursion. This is like the ongoing project for the week is to do the importance of the telomeres, and then we can go, why'd you shut up about it?
From outer space.
Oh no. Yes. So like it's an ongoing project for me and or anybody who wants to play along on the Discord is the importance of like why to not shut up about the telomeres, and then we can be like, why'd you shut up about it? Why'd you move on? Why'd you let this atrocity continue? It's unacceptable that you're not like the rats of Nim, guys. The mimetic weight of all the people that watched that as a kid, that he's not leaning into it. Why would you let wrongs continue? Why? So yeah, we're gonna do that for the week.
And so, well, it's unbelievable because the consequences. I mean, look, I have not even heard whether anyone has said, "Yeah, we did that, we screwed that up," but it is like your favorite model organism from mammalian trials being screwed up by a central facility.
I would normally cut the video there, but see, I had a mystical, magical occurrence happen as part of the emerging metacognition. Morten Bendiksen, sorry, Morten, in the Hive Mind chat, which I haven't figured out how to display on screen yet, has said perhaps all ideas should come with a telomere to ensure it doesn't become a cancer on the culture. And so, yes, brilliant. And then, since the telomeres like indicate the length of the telomeres, determine the when stuff is too old, like when it's aged out past its usefulness, right? Then our job would be to detect and communicate when things had outlived their usefulness and how it was demonstrable that they had outlived their usefulness, usually by finding the top-down new system or bottom-up new system that is superior. Because, as Buckminster Fuller says, the best way to beat a system is to make it obsolete. You know, like we've done with humans.